I have with me today Dawn Postnikoff with Paradise Valley Par 3, but that's not the only business hat that you wear, Dawn. I know you have a number of different business ventures, and you and Les have always been very driven individuals, very committed to our business community, and have been absolutely stellar role models within our business community. You have such insight. So I wanted to take the opportunity to chat with you in terms of how COVID-19 has affected your businesses, how you've adapted, and what you're doing as you go forward in terms of the different supports to relaunch your business. So maybe you can give us a little, behind the curtains peek in terms of what you've done to cope with COVID-19 and how it's impacted you.
Okay, thanks, Lisa, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. So yeah, we're most known for the golf course, and that's still our prime business, and that's still, our hearts are still in the Valley and Medicine Hat. So thanks for that. But I will say that especially during COVID, having sort of multiple interests and multiple business lines or sources of revenue, has helped us personally just be able to balance things, because, often, one industry will be hit differently than another, or timing is different. So, just in general, much like investing, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. It served us well to be able to diversify a bit. The golf course itself, same thing there. We basically have the golf course, we have a retail shop, and we have the restaurant. And each one of those has had different timelines, different rules, different regulations. And so it's really been a full-time job just managing the expectations of the customer with the regulations from health, keeping everybody safe, but also trying to, you're trying to run a business. I mean, that's why we're doing it. And yet you have to, you want to keep people safe, and you want to, yeah. So it's been a challenge the last couple of months, but it's coming together, and the support of the community and the support of the government and the support of the chamber, the resources out there. It's really important to take the time to do some research and find all those support mechanisms and figure out how you can, use those to continue to be in business and support your customers. So did I answer your question? I have no idea.
Absolutely. So how have you adapted your business practices, knowing that, you have at least 3 different, if not 4 different guidelines that you have to follow. So workplace guidelines for restaurants, for golf courses, for retail. So
yeah.
You had to adapt your business practices as you've reopened and relaunched your business.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing there is just being flexible. So we've, when we first opened the golf course, even before anyone else in Alberta, we were, jumped the gun a little bit. But we did put in all the practices right up front. So we now take tee times at the golf course, which is a first in, almost 40 years that Paradise Valley's been there. And we've never taken tee times before. So that's been really interesting. Generally, people are receiving it well because of COVID, and they're starting to like it more than I think they thought they would. So Paradise Valley has always been one where you just jump in the car, let's go golfing. And, sometimes you got on, sometimes you had to wait an hour, but it was just what you expected. Whereas now people are getting used to the idea that if they call ahead, then they know they just can get there and go golfing in 10 minutes. And so that's been a huge adjustment for our staff and our customers. But being able to be flexible and change on a moment's notice has been really important. Same thing with the restaurant. So the restaurant, we're encouraging reservations. We are not doing skip the dishes again yet, just because, as much as people want to support and do takeout and delivery, it's one more thing that the staff has to manage. So it's one more piece of technology they have to watch for orders coming in. It's one more thing on their list of how to do things safely that they need to worry about. So we're encouraging takeout, we're encouraging, pickup, and you can certainly call and order food, but it's just a matter of managing all of the different methods of business that are out there. So yeah, so I mean, obviously, like I say, we're implementing all of the guidelines from a health perspective. We've got plexiglass up between our at the retail and the pro shop. We've got much like other golf courses, we've got the golf carts are sanitized, and we've got plexiglass in if you want to ride with somebody who's not in your household. And, I mean, everybody's working together. The industry is really working together to make sure that the rules are consistent and that everybody's safe. And I think it's just a matter of knowing, the rules are changing every week. So it's a matter of being able to be flexible and know that this week you can have 25 people in, but if you're booking a function for 3 weeks from now, you might be able to have 50 people or 100 people. And being able to accommodate, those changing regulations is a challenge.
Dawn, you had talked a little bit about the supports that you've been using to help you through this. So federal, provincial, municipal support. So what types of supports specifically have helped you deal with the financial challenges that COVID-19 has brought about?
Right. Well, right at the beginning, we were quite impressed that the government came out with the financial supports right at the beginning. And so we were able to, because of the size of our business, we were able to take advantage of the CEBA loan right away. Now, granted, it's still a loan, but we can worry about that next year. So that helped with startup, especially with golf courses, needing the income at the beginning of the year for startup. And then we've also been able to take advantage of the wage subsidy. As increased staff is required, not just bringing back our staff, but increased staff to manage sort of some of the guidelines and manage, from a security perspective, watching people and keeping people at safe distances and taking phone, our tea times. We actually have to have an extra person just to answer the phone all day to take tea times right now, because our systems don't allow for online bookings yet. So those two programs have been the most beneficial. But I will say there's also little ones, if you have somebody to do some digging for your business, we've taken advantage of the publications support through the Medicine Hat News has allowed us to, they've done some funding matching to allow us to do some advertising. And so there's little programs like that are useful too, that we've taken advantage of.
I think a lot of people forget about some of the industry supports and some of the other
that
are out there in private sector supports, because certainly there's been some private sector supports and different offers from financial institutions. So that's always good to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah, and we've been lucky because we have the Golf Course Association as well as the Restaurant Association, because we're multiple businesses in one, as well as like our accounting firm. We work with EBT, accounting, and they give updates and make sure we know about the programs that are available. So, much like the chamber, everybody's really working together to make sure that communication is strong and there's lots of information about programs available.
Do you think there's any gaps that still exist? I know we chatted offline with regards to, of course, the increasing revenue with the temporary or with the emergency wage subsidy and now your expenses.
Yeah.
What are some of the gaps that you still see for businesses?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One is, like you mentioned, as revenues increase, that wage subsidy isn't going to be in place any longer. And, it's good that revenue is increasing, but we're still down 25% over, historically over every year. So it's not that we're back to normal, and we're certainly not necessarily profitable yet. So that's going to be a challenge. And I think the government is addressing that. And I know the associations are certainly looking at how to ease back up to a normal revenue level. From a restaurant perspective, there's a gap in between sort of the pickup and delivery model and dining in services. So, again, we're still, yes, we can increase capacity, but we still have to be 6 feet apart. So, we might be able to have 50 people in the restaurant, but if the tables are all 6 feet apart, you can only fit 30 people. So again, there's still, it may sound good, but the restrictions still are going to, affect the income. So looking at those types of gaps. But I think it comes down to, I think we have to decide what, we can't go back to the way we were in business. So from a gap in our own business model, we need to look at what we keep and what we change and what makes sense going forward, rather than just assuming we're going to go back to what was normal. What parts of our business do we want to keep? Maybe we don't focus on fine dining. Like we used to do a lot of, a lot of cocktail parties and wine tasting and that kind of thing. Maybe now we go back to burgers and chicken wings and nachos and just be sort of a, more of a casual type of eatery. So we need to look ourselves at those kind of questions and figure out, where we sit. So.
I know your location has been an absolute amazing place to go and to kind of get away right within the city. So it'll be, we'll be keeping a close eye in terms of your business and what we can do to support it. Any final thoughts on or recommendations for other businesses, or perhaps, just directing businesses to the supports that have worked best for you, or where to find, what's the best way to find some of that information?
Well, I mean, I need to put a plug in for the Chamber, because you guys have done amazing to keep people in the loop and to reach out and just to be there. I mean, I know myself, I've had a few questions, and your team is so responsive and getting back to us and directing us to different options and services that are available. So thank you for that. In terms of advice for anybody else, I think we mentioned this earlier, but I think just, being flexible and not panicking about what might be coming down the pipe. People are worried about the next phase, and they're worried about what's going to happen when the funding runs out, and worrying about paying back loans next year. I mean, I think you really just have to focus on today and this week, and, and things generally will work out one way or another. And just be flexible so that as things change, your business is ready to go with that and keep on keeping on.
I think that's such an important message, to be flexible, be ready to adjust and adapt, because things do change and they may, we know there's still going to be other adjustments. So I want to thank you for your time, Dawn. You and Les I've always admired greatly, and certainly appreciate your words of wisdom. So thank you for that.